Okay, all right. We're recording's on. So without further ado, thank you all for the slight delay. But I want to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 3:38 p.m. And we can go ahead and do our roll call.
So Jennifer?
Here.
Okay. And Annette?
Present.
Thank you. Amanda?
Here.
Yes. Oh, I see. Okay. And Patrick?
Here.
I see what you're saying now. Let's see, Lieutenant Hodgkins had a conflict, Hang one had a conflict, as well as Patrice was on vacation. So Martin?
Here.
Okay, and Paula?
Here.
And Rosa?
Here.
Thank you. We have 7 members present.
All right. Oh, thank you. So let's go ahead and do approval of absences. So we have those 3 that were mentioned. They notified us, I think you just said that earlier, correct? They notified, okay. So that's the tradition of this particular group. For the new folks, we've from past reasons and so forth, we go ahead and we do the roll call, and we were asked to, and it's part of the bylaws, to excuse absences and so forth. So what we're asking for you to do is, we don't want to necessarily get into your business and so forth, but if for some reason you are not able to attend, you can, if it's something that you would like to divulge, you can go ahead and notify the EEO office, but they will let us know that that you gave some notification and that it was within reasonable standards and so forth. Okay. If there's 3, are we calling 2 absences, but by the 3rd time, if there's no notification of absences, then this committee could remove that person. Okay. That hasn't been the case per se yet, but it could have. Okay, so thank you so much. All right, so we're going to go ahead and call for a motion to approve member absences.
Make the motion.
Okay, so Jennifer, we typically call folks by their first names, so forth, if that's okay. If not, let us know if you want us to call you some, from some other particular Mr. or Mrs. or however you prefer. Let us know. So we have a first by Jennifer. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Amanda seconds it. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take roll call.
Jennifer?
Here.
Aye.
Yes,
For the absence. Thank you. Annette?
Aye.
Patrick?
Is yes or no? Or
Either one.
either or, yes.
Martin?
Aye.
Paula?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. The motion
Motion carries, yes. All right. Okay, we have approval of minutes. I don't know, the minutes have been sent earlier, so we are hoping to ask people to review those ahead of time, but if not, we'll give you some time to do that. Everyone be able to review the minutes, or do you need some time?
Little time.
Okay.
And I don't know if I missed a meeting, but I don't know everybody here. Are you have some new members here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna deviate from the agenda. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I was just like,
Mhm.
want to make sure I didn't miss introductions.
No, we didn't.
Okay, I will wait. Sorry.
No, we'll probably. Okay.
Or just pointed out a, item on the minutes, for item number 5. It says the date change from May 20 to May 31st. That's an error. It should be May 20.
From May,
Item 5. Item 5.
yeah, but from what to what? Okay, in our motion to change the date to May 20th.
Yes.
Okay, so.
To May 20th.
Thank you, right.
The 20th, not the 31st, because the title says the 31st.
Yes. So I'll make that change.
Let me make sure I have that correct on my calendar. Yep. Wonderful.
Yes. There was a discussion on scheduling the December meeting, but that we cancel it if there's not a vote from last week. There was a discussion, that's not.
It's gonna be, oh, it was, yes.
Is it somewhere?
It's on the agenda, under new business.
Not on the minutes.
No, you're right. It's in the minutes.
So it should be on the minutes because it was last meeting, right?
We can add just a note about,
It's
To
just,
schedule it, is it, we don't have a quorum. We'll just-
right.
So I don't see that on the minutes.
Yeah, that's correct. It should be. Thank you for catching that, Patrick.
so just as an FYI, I'm going to add it under, item number 8, open public comment. And I'm just gonna list a very, brief note, about the December, having a December meeting.
So I think the discussion was schedule one. Or you said have one. I think it was a lot of discussion about not having one. I made a suggestion for scheduling.
So can I title it schedule December meeting?
I think that was a discussion. I don't know if we had a motion on the table for this.
No, we're good. Well, there was no motion, there was discussion.
That's what I'm there.
That's why it's on this meeting's agenda.
It's on this agenda to.
Right. So
But we can note it on the minutes.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is I will add it to the minutes under item 8.
Thank you.
And if I can title it, schedule December meeting.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Any other good eyes checking that? Thank you. Any other? Might be able to review it. Okay, with the changes noted, meaning one, that we will be scheduling a December meeting, and that also the change from May 31st to May 20th will be the meeting date change. The reason that date was changes because there was a holiday, and the tradition has been to move it to a Tuesday, but it was easier for us to keep it on a Monday, so we moved it to the week before the 28th. Okay. So, if there's no other changes, could I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and then, okay, any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Jennifer?
Here,
Yes.
yes, I, whatever.
I'm just gonna, yeah, sparkle with it. You okay?
And Amanda?
Yes.
Abstain. Abstain. Abstain.
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Oh.
And Rosa?
Yes.
Thank you. And the motion carries with 6 ayes or yeses
One is abstaining. Yes.
and 1 abstain for yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move to, before we go on to item number 4, which would be chair and vice chair elections, I would like us to go ahead and introduce ourselves, but on behalf of the Equal Employment Opportunity Advisory Committee, welcome to our new folks. So you came last meeting, but welcome Rosa, and then Paula, and welcome Jennifer.
I came to last week.
Yes, but you weren't on the officially here. Yeah. So welcome. She was officially on the board. You were not, and you weren't yet, so I was welcoming you all. So welcome.
But yeah, thanks.
Okay, all right. Okay, excellent. Well, we're gonna go around. If we could, let's start with you, if you don't mind, introduce yourself and what you do, and welcome.
Yes, hi, good evening. I'm Rosa Vega. I'm the coroner for Sacramento County.
Excellent. I'm Martin Ross. I am the chair of the EEOAC currently right now, and I am a citizen from District 3. So there you go. I'm a citizen.
I have a question. This is not gonna happen every time a board member pops up. We have to keep reintroducing ourselves, aren't we?
We probably will if there's a new person.
Yeah, it's usually how they do it.
Jennifer Avalo, DHA. I've been on the board for a couple of years back for like 7 years straight, and I'm just coming back.
Yeah.
Patrick Hunter, I represent labor for the OA bargaining board, UPE. And I am a almost 24-year employee of the Department of Human Assistance at 24th and Forum, which I've been at that location for 21 other 24 years.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Annette Besworth. I'm the Director for Animal Care Services.
Hi, I'm Paula Nelson, and I'm a new member. I currently am doing commercial real estate with Berkshire Hathaway Commercial Services.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for that. What district are you from?
What district? That's becoming 3.
So Rich Desmond?
No, who's the
Penny, or no,
Rush
Hume,
River?
Hume, oh,
Rush River. I'm Greenhaven on the river.
Oh, that's Kennedy, isn't it? Too?
Patrick.
yeah. I think
Patrick.
it's-
Oh, okay.
Only
Patrick.
because I'm from the district and I see Mr. Kennedy walking.
I'm sorry, I guess I should know that, huh?
Don't worry.
You're coming up.
You will not be tested.
I was in Laguna for a long time, so yeah.
I'm Amanda Benson. I'm the Chief Public Defender.
Thank you.
And Richard Chang, I work with the EEO office at staff committee.
I'm Corey Stilson. I'm the EEO officer for the county. So I'm also part of staff for the committee.
Yes. Yes. Thank you all for your work that you do. And thank you all for coming today. All right. Okay. So again, welcome to everyone and of course the 3 new persons here. And we're going to keep moving forward. So we'll all get to know each other and we'll do that. Okay, so we're on to item number 4 now, chair and vice chair elected. So we've made a change to our policy guidelines. And so instead of this happening in January, we have decided to do it in February so that everyone who gets appointed from different whether it's the unions or so forth, that everyone who gets appointed will actually be able to be present. And last time, if we had the vote, Jennifer, who was appointed, would not be able to participate and it would have been left out. And that's how the union, their particular union, UPE, there's just a little off of our schedule. So we made an adjustment to our schedule so we could accommodate everyone. Okay, so with that, we're going to entertain nominations, and you can nominate yourself or someone else can nominate you for chair and vice chair. So we will start off with the chair. think, last, over the week, there were duties for different offices, and that's before you here, if anyone wants to take a look at it, if you have not taken a look at that earlier. You can browse that. But you can do that at your leisure, but maybe perhaps there's some nominations that folks want to bring forth. And even as a new person, you're seated on the committee, so you can do that. Is there anyone that would like to make a nomination for chair?
I'll make a nomination for Martin. Sure.
I second that.
Thank you. I'll accept that. Any other nominations for chair? Appreciate that. Thank you. Interested? No. Okay, all right. Well, so let's, I think we can just take a nomination for vice chair, and then we can probably do each position separately as far as the vote. Are there any nominations for vice chair? Is there anyone that would be willing to continue that? Vice chair?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I move to close the nominations for chair, then we can open the vice chair.
that's fine. We can do it that way too. Okay, so we'll close nominations for,
I move.
you move? We need a second,
I'll second.
sorry.
I'll
That's
second
it. Okay, so first by Patrick, second by Amanda. Any discussions at all? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a roll call.
Yay.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes.
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 So the motion carries with all in favor?
Thank you all. Okay, so we'll entertain nominations for the vice chair. Is there anyone that would be interested? That you did a fine job, but you may or may not be interested. I don't know.
I nominated Annette.
Okay.
I second it.
Looking at her.
What did she say?
Okay.
She said, okay. I thought she said, no, it was affirmative, so that was good. She was like, man, am I crazy or what? But anyway, thank you so much. So we have an acceptance. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Okay. Seeing none, we'll ask for a motion.
I'll move to close the nominations.
Okay, Amanda is the first. Is there a second to close nominations?
I'll second.
Patrick was a second. Okay, any discussions?
Yes, I do. She said, where did you see the roles?
They're in this 1974 document. Duties of secretary, chairperson, duty officer, vice chair.
It said the vice chair would. About get back to you.
The vice chair shall assume the duties of the chairperson in absence or incapacity of the chairperson.
Right.
That's right.
So I know one of the conversations last year, that you was on go, essentially rotate and have the vice chair lead a meeting. Was that still part of a discussion that you wanted to have at this time? But I think you brought up rotating, letting the vice chair run a meeting, so something like that. But in the duties, it just says absence are incapacitated.
Right. It's still that. Yeah, I can still do that. I don't mind doing that.
So is that something we would need to change in that rules and procedures? Because I think
I might have, yeah, I'm not necessarily going to do that, but I could do that.
Well,
But if we do that, we might have to make some changes.
yeah, and I think it was your discussion when you first mentioned it.
Yeah,
I don't think it was last year, maybe it was even the year before last.
yeah.
The years be flying by.
We,
Details.
Well, I
well,
have a pretty decent memory, but.
yeah, we had some more.
It was
Bringing it up.
We had
It
some
was
more
January,
things.
January, and it was only about 67 degrees outside. It was a discussion, I remember that discussion,
Yeah,
to give the gavel to, the vice
I
chair.
love
and I thought-
precision. It's good. I love precision. That's good. Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, I'm sure my daughter will correct me if I'm wrong. But I just wanted to know, was that something that was still on the table? 'Cause
what, are you even interested in that? Rotating?
leading a meeting at some
You
point.
wanted to.
It's quite, I think that's a potential thing that we could decide on, but I think elections are separate from.
Well, it's part of the
the
discussion.
Yeah, it was a discussion, it was an idea brought up.
Yeah, before the
Right.
vote, I wanted to have that discussion.
Okay.
You asked for a discussion.
Yeah.
So I just, if it's not on the table, we can move on, but.
So, yeah, well, we won't be able to amend this now, but how about, we'll just discuss, that this offline, if that's of interest to you, then, you know, we'll put that on the agenda so we can make some changes. I can't change it.
That's fine. I don't think it should be discussed offline because that would be a through a meeting, but I think the only reason why I was bringing it up because I remember you brought it up
Yeah,
at one meeting early on in, the chair.
if there's 3 persons, it would be a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, but, yeah, it's just a matter of whether that's of interest, but, why don't we go ahead and, duly note it? And
Yeah.
and we'll, bring that up in a minute. Okay, but is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and, take the vote.
I'll stay.
Abstain?
Yes.
Okay.
What am I voting on? Again, yourself.
Yourself.
Vice Chair.
Oh, I'm not voting on that. I'll abstain.
Okay. And Amanda?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Motion carries with 5 yeas and 2 abstains.
Okay, all right, well, congratulations. You vice chair. Okay,
Real quick, Martin, you said something about the quorum, consisting of 3 people.
no, I didn't say a quorum. I said a meeting, a meeting, not a quorum, a meeting. Yeah, with the Brown Act, if there's 3 persons that are talking. Yeah. Okay, so what I would like to do is, depending on if there's time, we could, move the discussion for rotating chair, meeting between chair and vice chair leading the meeting. We could, table that for the, for the end of this agenda, and if not, we don't have time to discuss that, we'll move it to a discussion item for next month, please. I'd like to put it at the end. Okay, thank you. All right, so we are going to stop the clock. Should it be stop the clock, if should there be other additional discussions at 4:30 with respect to reviewing the statistics, workforce statistic reports. What we have done now, we're going to be looking at 2 years. We've had some robust discussion in the past to be able to make some adjustments to the table so that we could actually see and reflect some of the interest of this committee, was making sure that we're actually following the duties. There have been discussions in the past And we spent quite a bit of time for a whole year, making adjustments to the tables of whether, the duties of this committee and whether we are actually given the opportunity to review and give suggestions and make sure that, we're addressing the issues with respect to equity. So we do have some changes to the tables that have reflected the comments and concerns. And what we will do is move through this process and at least for about 27 minutes or so, and till 4:30-ish. And then, take note if there are concerns or thoughts, then we can, in some point, sometime, make some, additional adjustments to those if we're thinking it's not covering what we need to do. Now, if there are concerns that we see from the various departments, and I'm more so speaking for the new folks here, we are able, as a committee, to ask the department chairs and so forth to come in and talk with us about it. And it could be for praises or it could be for concerns. So either way, we could do that. There is a goal of mine for 2024. I've talked with Supervisor Kennedy. I already had talked with Supervisor Desmond the previous year, that we would try to, and we'll have some discussion later on that if there's time to look for some of the top 10 performing departments and those top 5 performers and the top 5 most improved. My goal for that is not that it's going to be something that's exact or perfect, but what I'm hoping, because racism has been declared an epidemic by the past, by the county, and we want to try to find some kind of way to, my goal as the chair, to try to find some kind of way to encourage other departments to move forward, to be able to see where some departments are doing well and making, notable efforts. And then there's other departments that just really haven't. Maybe it's because they don't know how, maybe because they don't have the ability, maybe because enough folks aren't applying, maybe it has something to do with outreach. We don't know. But that's kind of what I wanted to do, and to be able to put a compendium of best practices together and send that out from the EEOAC to the various departments, and maybe we'll be able to see some improvements. Not any different than, than the sports that I used to play, right? Some of you may have played, see, different awards and recognition. Maybe people will come. So the Supervisor Desmond, who was the chair of the County Board of Supervisors last year, was going to come here to do that. They may still decide to do that if that's something that we decide to push forward, or we may come to the board meeting and make a presentation. I don't know. They make that decision there, but there wasn't, opposition to it. And I think the same, I know the same county supervisors are present now as were last year. So, okay. So we'll go ahead and move through the statistics now, and you all will get a chance to see what that's like, and any questions that you have, go ahead and throw. The EEO office has been very good, I believe, at responding to those questions. If they're not to your satisfaction or so forth, you're free to press some of those issues.
So question, I just want to be clear. So we're only taking 30 minutes, which we are listed already. Just to go through these, and then we're gonna change a whole nother topic instead of taking the rest of the remaining.
Well, we could move forward, but so here's what I'm gonna say. So as chair,
30 minutes limitations.
well, as chair, I'm going to still be chair, and I'm going to, I want to explain for the new folks here. So, and there's a lot of history that you aren't aware of that we've had so I wanted to explain, and I'm going to do that. Now, when I said at the pleasure of this committee, when we get to 4:30, if we want to use the rest of the time to continue to go through the stats, we'll do so. However, there's been concern, flip side, which you're not aware of, on the flip side, where we've gone through the stats and we have no discussion regarding the concerns from the committee, where people have said this set of statistics just really isn't meeting our satisfaction. And it was like, what are we, just rubber stamps for those stats? So that's the history behind that. So I wanted you to know that, and other people. And that's why it's being done that way. We only have till 5 o'clock. So I wanted to make sure that people have a voice. If we want to have a voice to discuss something, if we want to move through the stats, that will be at our check-in. Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll go ahead, Corey and Richard, we'll move through the stats now. Which, what are we starting with? It should be, yeah, which one? It should be what's listed first, right here, right?
Community development, 2002, because I don't think we finished that last time around. January. And then I only have like 5 copies of, I can get there.
Community development's the current page.
We don't have any copies.
There's 2022 and 2023.
I gave it 2020.
Sorry, we reduced, doing copies because previously people had said, don't waste the paper, we'll look at it electronically, we don't want hard copies. So now there's been the request to bring back hard copies, so we don't quite have the number right.
So, do folks, you typically want hard, I know you wanted hard copies, but then,
Like paper.
okay,
I like paper. And
okay. So,
if you want that,
yeah, are, do
I'm
you,
okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what about you?
I'm fine with looking up here.
Okay, so I would, at least 80%.
Does somebody need the 2022 community development? I didn't realize there was 22 and 23. Is somebody needing the 22 one?
Oh,
Okay.
So I think you could make, another copy of 20% of the vote. I mean, 80% of the votes. That is. I'm fine with the electronic. I think. Okay.
So looking at, table 1, community developments, 2022 workforce and so forth, and comparing 2017's data to 2022's, which is essentially the end of 2021's. But the total number of employees was 234 for 2017, forgive me. And then of that, minority representation was 95 or 40.6%. And female representation was 85 or 36.3%. Now looking at 2022, there were a total of 314 total employees. Of that, 126 were minority or 40.1%, and 87 or 27.7%. And I think last time regarding this, I made a note with regards to there was a combined departments, two separate divisions came together, which resulted in the increase in number. And I think Patrick asked about that information and if I could send or get information from the department. But as a result of locating information from the board and that merging of the departments, hopefully that satisfied that that portion. And I think I sent it via email, so anyway, I just wanted to make note of that. And in moving on to table 2, looking at the job categories comparison. The top 3 categories were officials and administrators. There were a total of 142 of those. 16 or 11.3% were female, and 32 or 22.5% were minority. The next highest was technicians with 72 total employees. Of those, 22 or 30.6% were female, and 47 or 65.3% were minority. And the last was professionals with 71 total employees. Of those, 26 or 36.6% were female, and 27 or 38% or minority. On to table 3.1, which was hires and rehires. There were a total of 2 new hires for this period. Of those, 2 were minority. You'll do at that time. And there were no rehires for this period. It was 2021. In looking at table 3.2, which is terminations. There were a total of 3 terminations. Of those, 5 or 38.5% were minority and 5 or 38.5% were female. And looking at reasons terminated, majority was 6 or 46.2%, and then for disciplinary 3 or 23.5%. Moving to table 3.4, looking at promotions and demotions. There were a total of 10 promotions. Of those, 3 or 30% were minority and 4 or 40% were female. And there were no demotions for this period. And looking at table 4, which is discrimination and harassment complaint activity or activity, there was a total of 1 complaint, which back then at the time it was still ongoing and it was based on age.
So now we're gonna hit the same department, 2023. Yeah, I would like to see how they did.
So looking at 2023.
Just for clarification, so that merger took place in the 2021 time, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact.
But it wasn't, it didn't take place coming into 2023.
Yeah, it was already taken care of in
Okay, got it.
in this period for 2023.
And do you know, does anybody know what, tell me a little bit about, like, I didn't look at that yet, but, what's community development? What is that for?
So here it says they're a multidisciplinary office with a range of development services to citizens or its information. They ensure that development within the county is consistent with state law and building codes and work together to protect life and property while providing quality of life and in the entertainment.
Engineering, planning, part, okay, got it.
And then these are all the divisions that are within the Department of Community Development.
What page are you?
So this is page, well, 1 of the narrative.
And I'd like to just add one thing. I've had property in Old Sac since 2014. That's how I got into commercial real estate. And when I first started going down to the, for building permits and code enforcement and all that stuff, right, to the planning commission, there were none of us. Okay,
Who's us?
Black folks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no people of color.
Mhm.
Hispanic, none of us. And,
Mhm.
okay, very few women. It's
Mhm.
priced, yeah. Now I went down there this last year because I had a tenant that did some stuff she wasn't supposed to do and she wasn't honest about it. So, you know, who always has to clean up everything. And I was amazed. I was like, oh, so I see it that, yeah.
The
the
change you
numbers
saw?
are-
Okay.
Yeah,
You
I
see,
could tell the difference. Yeah, I could see the difference immediately. I was like, okay, this is good.
wow. And that, how many years ago was that in the past?
This was just last year I was there and I started going there in 2014 because I actually got dinged with one of the, after that whole balcony thing happened in Berkeley and
Yes.
all those students were killed. They went across the state of California, you know, just saying, hey, anybody's got a balcony, it looks like it's a problem. First place they did came in Sacramento was Old Sac and all of us basically got dinged. So, you know, they put scaffolding up. You had to pay like, I think it was like $10,000 a day for the scaffolding to be there. Well, maybe not, but it was a lot, okay? And all this stuff started happening and I would go down there and everybody was nice. I actually had a really good inspector I worked with, but I know, you you can see those things, maybe if you're not a person of color, maybe you don't notice those things, but if you are, you kind of do, And so back then, and so I didn't pay much attention, but yeah, this last time I was like, oh, boy, look at this.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's a difference. Yeah, I can tell. I can see it.
Yeah, I know last year we had a presentation by, DTEC, was it DTEC? Not DTEC. IT, which was Romney, and he had a, presentation with I think it was the beta version of different departments. And in that beta version, there were drop downs where we can actually see the actual job classifications. And I think we had a discussion at some point last year where we wanted to maybe start seeing the actual job classifications for the different presentation or data reports. Is that something that we can actually start seeing? Because I know he said he was going to give Corey access to that portal. Not everybody, because it's a beta version, but is that something that we can take a look at for different departments where we can actually see the classifications? Because I appreciate Ms. Nelson bringing up her view, but I would like to see, so when we look at the data, we can actually see that.
So with regards to that, I think it was back in November, the committee voted to add a new table, after
Right.
table 2, because I think what the concern was then was, here it tells us what the job categories are, but you don't necessarily know what the job titles or classifications are.
Yeah.
So in 2024, the committee voted to add a new table, which is now table 2.2. And we still have a table 2, or rather a table 2.1, but table 2.2 actually breaks down the total number of employees within the department, and then for each of the job categories, what the job classes are, and then those numbers. So
Yeah, I recall one of our meetings, it was like someone mentioned, I think from our EEO office, that's a lot of work. So
we're good.
So I know we're behind, but I would like to see, like Ms. Nelson saying, she noticed a change, but is there a way we can see that like in real time now? Like as we review these past, is there any, we can see that in real time? I know Romney, he said he was going to give the office the access along with this, because one of the things that I'm noticing, there's some outdated language, like number 6, there's outdated language. County Equal Employment Opportunity Program, do we actually have a program? That was from the 80s, I think. So it's kind of outdated, and I think, go ahead.
It was affirmative action program in the 80s.
Right, it's the 80s.
Yeah, I think you're combining a few different things. Like this table was talking about breaking out the job classes that are within each category, which is something that we've talked about. What Rami was showing was the online dashboard that was in the beta version that you could get real-time information from. And then there was something else you were talking about that was another discussion.
It was pretty much the same. I think Romney, he came here, and then the next discussion was over at another location. But I think the portal came up based on seeing the job categories and not knowing what the classifications were. And I think I recall there was a discussion about it was a lot of work, but what I'm asking if it serves the committee well is that even though we're like actually 2 years behind, right? Can we see in real time what that looks like for this department or for each department? Like along with that, because again, some of these terms, this data is outdated. Like said, departments are combined now. So can we see something in real time? as we move
Well, I
forward.
think, and I'm hearing what you're saying. Thank you, Patrick. The idea was when we saw the dashboard that Romney was presenting, it didn't give us the detail, but I think our hope was to be able to see them both at the same time.
Yeah, the dashboard did give us real time, because it was.
But it did give us the specificity that we needed. But here,
I thought the dashboard gave us way more information than this data from what my recollection was, because it was like a lot of drop downs or links. So that's my question. I only thought about that when Ms. Nelson brought up what her previous views were and her current views. Is that reflected in any of this data? I don't know. But I remember Romney said he would give a very few select people access to that. So I'm asking, is that something we can look at along with the data so we can actually get a view of, is it actual change? Are these numbers reflected entry level versus management? Those are some of the things that I would have questions about. I don't know what those entail, but professional, I don't know what classifications they're. You like well, last year, Romney.
this was additional.
Numbers by professions, right?
I'm sorry, what's that?
These are total numbers by profession, right?
Right.
Administrators, professionals.
Right, we are. That was specificity that we asked for. And then the other concern was when we just said minority versus female, minority could be people that aren't even really struggling, for equity situations. And so there's a breakdown on specific ethnicity that we'll see in another table. I think it was a combination of the two, but we definitely made a lot of progress here. But I think noting we had requested that coming up into 2024 that we would be able to see the dashboard also. He said it should be ready.
Right.
I'm agreeing with you. He said
Right.
that it should be ready.
And I'm just gonna make it clear, we are in 2024,
Right.
so that's why I'm asking, can
Yeah.
I see
The dashboard.
the dashboard along with the data? Because we are in that year that they're bringing up. Is that something that EEO office can actually provide? Because I remember Romney said he was going to give access to a select few, and I believe our EEO office was one.
I believe we may have access to it. I haven't checked lately. The thing is, do we want to change our reports? Because the dashboard it's movement. It's like as we get, you poke around. It's like, do we want to actually do that in meetings, or do we want to have reports prepared to be reviewed?
So I think both. I think in real time, when we're looking at data, it's fine but this is almost 2 years old, right? So as we're looking at data, yeah, we voted to include a new table for this year moving forward. But as we're looking at the data, is it against any type of, I think it would behoove us to take a look at the real time data.
Well, I think it's at least a year old, but this is just we're in the, I guess, almost March, huh? Yeah. But it's not quite 2 years old,
So I don't know.
I think they do it at the end of the year. I think it's when they compile most of this.
So I don't know when. I just look at 2022.
That might be good to find out when they do these
Yeah.
compilations.
Also,
Mhm.
when we run the reports, when we're running the reports, they're close to real-time data. The problem is that we've prepared the reports and then the committee's fallen behind in reviewing them. So now the data may be a couple years old, but that's because when we prepared them, it was at the point when we prepared them. So
Well, it has.
Yeah, we need to figure out what
12,
it is.
26 years.
Here's
12, so it's done in December. That's at the bottom there, at that one. Workforce comparative analysis. So I think they're done in December of each year. Looks like it. We've got the footnote.
Well, what I think is easily doable because it is a web-based application. for our next meeting, because it was something we were gonna bring up for 2024, the dashboard. When and if the committee says, could we please take a look at the dashboard, we can just easily move to that screen, take a look at it. It's pretty easy. We can drill down for whatever questions we have and then move back to the statistics. But this is good stuff. That is good. Because he brought it up. It was easy to you just put it on the web. And it is doable. And I think that would just be available for us to take a look at should we need to do that. But I do want to remind us also too, as we don't go behind. We're at 4:30, so we can, at the pleasure of the committee, we can continue to move forward with this. But one of the task of this committee is to review the statistical data. So that is the goal for this year to catch up and to finish, and complete the task. So.
Let's make it very clear that that's the goal, but I don't think we should sugarcoat and just skim over it either. If there's questions, if there's concerns, I think it behooves this committee to do it right versus just saying, let's catch up, because we've always been behind, even 7 years ago. I mean, this is not something new. Being behind is not something new, just so we can clear, but again, some of these terms are outdated. I mean, I'm just like national. So we can't just say, oh, I'm not just gonna say, oh, it's outdated and keep it going.
No.
For the time.
We're gonna bring the dashboard in. We're gonna bring
We're talking about just other things on here. Like if you look at some of the questions, it's outdated. It was just stated that the equal employment opportunity program was from the 80s. We're talking about 30 years ago or more.
No, at the time,
That's when it was established, I think.
no, it was a affirmative action program at one time.
And what year was
And
that?
they changed it to, I think the affirmative action program started in the
70s?
70s.
Yeah, 70s.
And
And went
then
through
they
the 80s,
switched
right?
it to EEO program or plan. I mean, I've seen it changed in both contexts.
But I think it's two different situations happening. The data that we're looking at right now is near current. The language, as if we're pointing out, maybe we should do a scan of the narrative that supports the data or the background for the narrative for this, and then make sure that that's updated to the current language. But that's just, this language here doesn't mean.
It's still the current language.
No, but the program part that he's mentioning?
Talking about in general, I've seen the term has been used in different ways. We're talking about the equal employment opportunity programs. It's our any programs that we have through the county, like my office is an EEO program.
So you were saying it's current language then?
Using the term EEO as opposed to affirmative action is current.
Under that title, aren't there some elements of that program? Because I've seen it where I saw the original one in the 70s, and then I saw this, but it was some elements in that program which may or may not be crucial right now, because now the terms that we're familiar with the county is DEI, as well as, like you just said, the program. So some of that, again, is not fitting in with some of the current missions of the county, in my opinion.
It may not fit in with the current missions, but we still have the workforce statistics are EEO statistics that from the affirmative action plan statistics, they removed certain tables, the goals and timetables, those ones. We still have the utilization analyses, those kind of things, which were originally part of the affirmative action plan and they carried over into the EEO plans. So it's like, it's still there, but yes, I agree that you're hearing the terms DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion more often. And that I think is where the county is trying to focus, but that's kind of separate.
So is that something, Mr. Chair, is that something that we might need to add to this data? Because I think you mentioned something about diversity earlier, and I it triggered me to think of the DEI. So that's something relevant to what the county's goals are, not just. You mentioned something. about-
That'd be a good time to start it.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the year, 2024.
So I don't know how that would work, but
Okay, let's look at updating. We can add that as an unfinished, what I put down here at the end of the agenda, when folks get a chance to take a look at that, at the end of the agenda, some of the highlighted discussions that we've had, it's been noted here, and it's noted there on purpose for the agenda, should we choose to discuss those so that we don't lose any of those discussion points.
yes.
Yeah, right, those ideas that we had. Otherwise, it would, as you mentioned before, others would just be in the minutes and we'll never really know. You know, you gotta go dig through the minutes to remember if something was pertinent was said. So what we can do is, I'm gonna add a bullet, and I'm just asking under unfinished business that we look at updating language or in our reporting that is consistent with DEI terminology, the direction that the county is.
The county has a brand new DEI manager
The county has,
Just saying though,
too.
yeah,
A brand new. I mean, I just had to fill out a survey this past
like
week.
recently, like, last month.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It was pretty quick. The county did appoint a DEI officer
right.
or DEI manager. I don't remember which her title actually is. And she is over this new DEI program for the county. Because it is really just getting started. I don't think the county has outlined what its
What it's gonna look like.
DEI effort looks like or what its goals are, or anything like that. So I think we may be a little bit premature.
Well, what I'm saying is I'm noting it as from a concern from this committee that it doesn't have to happen immediately, but that we have it as a discussion point. It's something that we do not forget as we're going over this, that we are updating language and that is consistent with the terminology and so forth, the direction that the county is going with DEI. Yes, sir.
Also, there's a whole website, a whole webpage for the DEI. So I don't think they're just in its infancy stage as well. I did take a look at that last week. So there's a whole plethora of information for the DEI initiative. So again, that's not something brand new, in my opinion. There was a summit, 2-day summit, and there's a commitment from the county to address DEI. What I was just asking for the purposes of this committee is what are they saying about inclusive and update the data. If the data, make sure this data is relevant to what our goals are. And our goals are to address the recruitment, hiring, retention and promotion of protected classifications from my understanding. So DEI actually would be parallel to that, inclusive of that. So I don't see anything outside of what we would be doing.
Well, I think we've captured that. And part of the other goals too is as we're reviewing our tables, statistics, one we're talking about narrative, the other is the statistics. As we review, at a check-in point, maybe quarterly, at each quarter, we can come and say, hey, do we need to make some adjustments? Adjustments to the tables, of course, won't be able to take place for an entire year, but we can know what those concerns are. And then when, 2025 comes around, I think when Richard starts making table adjustments if they're needed, that would come, I think, around November, right? You needed that information by November if there's some changes. so that you can have them ready for the statistical queries for the next year. Am I correct?
Yes, if the committee throughout this year, 2024, is discussing elements that they want to include into the workforce statistics. Throughout this year, that discussion occurs, and then at maybe the November meeting,
Yeah.
you vote on exactly what you want, and it could be including questions that you want in terms of the narrative. To help you with understanding what the department's doing. We can certainly include those for the next year's.
Question.
Ma'am.
This information, all these statistics, why are we poring over them and looking? Why isn't there some kind of analytical tool that can show us like this department, the number went down, this one it went up, this, like, it seems like we're wasting a lot of time just like looking, and then we, it's like, oh, it looks kind of the same, looks like, and then we're arguing about, we want to drill down and know like among professionals, like how many, like what does that entail and stuff, and so we're kind of like struggling with what do these even mean, whereas it seems like there should be some kind of high level, like Excel or something that could generate a report that shows community development, their, diversity increased or it decreased or in these particular categories, so that if you see a trend, like you can drill down into that rather than just kind of generically looking at these reports. I mean, I don't know, it's like, well, oh, it did that, oh, it went up a little bit, it went down. It's like, what are we supposed to do with that?
Right. That's what I was saying. 7 years ago, this was more easier to read and understand. More easier.
So I appreciate that. Again, so if you see the 2022 to 2023, you see maybe increases, decreases, whatever. But what I would like to see when we do drill down is, are those entry levels, are those like some of the things where what you're saying as far as is there some improvement needed, or are those numbers, just pertaining to just the entry level, or are there management? Again, I think having like the portal from IT would help us have more of a discussion than not. Because again, you're right, we're just going over, looking at it and saying, I guess it looks okay.
Yeah, I mean, like this seems like they're making some improvement on what? I mean, what does this even tell us? This tells us like,
Well, workforce composition went down, ethnic composition from 2017 to 2022.
okay, we're looking at 36.
36.3 to 27.7.
Right, okay, so
For
you're looking at
ethnicity.
table one, right,
Right.
right. And so, I mean, that's concerning, even with not knowing what positions exactly those were, right?
Yeah.
So we know, but like, it seems like there could be a program that would, but I don't know, I mean,
That's a good question.
No, you're right.
it's like, why we're having to like really look.
Does that fall on us as the committee to decide what that looks like, or does it fall back?
If you guys want to look at different information, this is what our reports currently show. If you want our reports to show different information,
More of a summary.
we may be able to do that. We may not, depending on what's.
How about this? This is just my,
Go ahead.
this is how we get distracted and don't get anything done. If my memory serves me right, Rami did say that was going to be available in 2024. He did roll it out to the department heads. We had access to it a few months ago. But I think we can ask the question of what it looks like now. I don't know if it's going to be future. And that would be a great comparison, the live data comparison to what we're looking at in the statistics. I think we need to, and I could be wrong, but I think because it has an agenda tied to it, there are certain items that we need to get to before 5 o'clock. Especially like public comment. I think legally, when you have a Brown Act meeting, you have to address public comment, even if there's nobody here to speak. I think we have to get to those. There's certain things on this agenda we need to get to. And like guest speakers, I think let's start inviting some guest speakers here. Let's invite the DEI manager here to come speak to us. Let's put something on the agenda that provides us an opportunity to really talk about how we want the reports laid out with all the information in front of us.
And like today, community development, can we have somebody here from community development to kind of talk over this stuff so you guys can hurry, so we can hurry up and get through.
I think we need a whole agenda
Right.
on how we want these reports to look like and what it looks like in the
At
future.
least close out the years that need to be closed out, right? Just 2022, and then we can take our time with 2023, but, you know, on the 2022 stuff, maybe ask, you know, how to go from 36.3% total representation, female representation, and a minority was 40.6. Well, minority didn't go down so much, but female representation went down from 36.3 to 27.7, you know, and it's,
But then what are we supposed to do with that? Like, how do we close that out?
So
What, I
we
mean,
can make recommendations, so we can make recommendation, we could ask some questions, like what, like, did anyone from that department attend any, you know, DEI, any trainings? We can ask these questions and then make recommendations. So when you said how do you close it out, that would be part of the purpose.
Have you ever had it in the past where the directors actually just come and delivered the report?
that would be good.
Yeah, questions, right?
Only if we had questions.
I mean, that's when.
Instead of-
shouldn't the question always be like, did it go down? Tell us why.
Yeah.
Like before, they know, like works, what is the
What are your
expectation?
challenges?
I mean, what is the goal? The goal is to increase opportunity and to increase diversity and to, you know, so the goal, whatever that is, I assume it's something along those lines. The department head or somebody from the department has to come and say, yes, we have increased it and here's what we're doing, or they have to come and say, oh, it has decreased and here's why, but here's what we're working on. Like, but,
Well, I'm sorry, did you?
no, that's,
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. So what has happened in the past, when we've seen a statistic where it looks like it went down, then the following meeting, we had a request go out to that department head to come present on, you know, their statistics and explain why that happened.
so like this community development for example, it doesn't look like
Yeah.
the minority representation went down that much, but female did. So is that what would trigger, like, we want them
Yep.
to come and explain?
Yep,
So I mean, is that what we're supposed to be doing, is having that?
yep,
person
that's what
explain that?
it has happened.
Well, I mean,
There's questions that need explanation.
Also in the past, what the committee has done is when they've seen numbers lower, we send a letter to the department heads, just advising that the workforce statistics report for X year has been reviewed. And the committee has these following questions and they want maybe clarification. Not always has someone come in, but yes, we have had folks come in to speak to their workforce statistics report. And in addition, hopefully some of the narrative that you have opportunity to review in advance helps you with understanding how they got to those numbers. And so
it seems like this report that the departments are doing, if it's gonna trigger us asking questions about something, why wouldn't those questions already be in there? Like, if you put your numbers out and it shows this and this, then what we want you to do is explain this and this.
Right.
Why is it that,
Numbers went down.
why isn't that just part of the report? They just wait for us to go over it and see it and then ask questions? It seems very inefficient, but
Right, you're
I
right.
mean, it seems like if you do the report and the numbers are not, you're not meeting expectations on, then the report should have that explanation in it. It just isn't
And maybe
very,
goals for the next year, since they're all done in December, right? We did
yeah.
this last year, so this is what we'd like to do next year.
I mean, it's waiting for us to review it and then ask questions about it and then
You could
things
ask
like,
Number 9.
yeah,
Follow-up, if there have been any significant changes or any notable changes, please explain. I mean, we could ask that the report include a number 9 question. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then if that causes other questions, then that would be a good time for them to come in person.
And then they can
Explain
actually,
that.
they would provide the analysis.
right,
Because they're
yeah,
telling us with the analysis.
totally.
I mean,
I like that better.
that trigger, the way you stated it, if there's any changes in the significant positive or the negative, tell us why. You know, they should, in that narrative could actually allow us to celebrate, or that narrative could say, hey, you're not doing very.
Or if the numbers haven't changed, but they're still like not what we want them to be,
Yeah.
they're status quo, like, what are you doing? What, have you tried to switch up what you're doing?
But
You know?
they don't have goals anymore, so how would you establish that?
Yeah, what are their goals? I mean, they're just,
There are no goals anymore.
That's when
She told me that at my interview.
the goals and timetables portion went away with setting numerical goals went away with affirmative action.
well, so then can we even, okay.
Mr. Chair. However, there are some DEI goals. That's one of the reasons.
Hello?
So there are some DEI goals. So again.
There are goals, right? It should be goals.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I'll try. Sorry. So with the DEI goals, and that's a county goal, because the county declared racism a public health crisis. And there are goals. And so going full circle with asking additional questions, I think would be appropriate, including DEI goals, including any significant increases or decreases. Those questions will be significant. I don't think we should have to wait till November to add questions when we're going to be collecting new data throughout this year. So maybe we need to have a workshop to develop some questions, additional questions to add to these reports going forward, not down in November, but now. So the new report will reflect some of those questions, if that makes any sense.
Those won't be able to be or will they? They won't be able to be reflected in our 2022 and 2023
No,
review.
no.
But they will be
For the 24
24.
data that will be collected.
Yeah.
And moving forward.
Right.
I think we might need to carve out a workshop time frame to develop some questions. Ms. Benson, Ms. Vega, and Ms. Nelson, we can all brainstorm what type of questions we want to ask. And like you said, Ms. Benson, that it might, it behooves us to take a look at it and say, oh, okay, they already recognize those problems and here's what they've done. Or like, we don't know if those numbers went down because those people got promoted. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, that's in the other pages. They tell you who's got promoted.
Right, but we don't, but when I think we don't know if it came from a entry level classification and then they moved, or we don't know if people got better jobs. We can ask that question because they might have exit interviews. We don't know. I thought we can ask those questions.
Don't we, from the statistics, when we have those categories, aren't we able to tell which ones are entry level? Because
Right, yeah.
I think we do have that report, right?
Yeah, administrators, professional technicians, office clerical workers, they have it all broken down here, table 2.
Right, and so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to see that.
So that, we requested that, so we could see whether folks were entry or not. And because most of the time, the DEI objectives were hidden because they usually come through entry level positions. And we also wanted to see whether any promotions of people moving up into
Right.
more
It's important.
executive roles and so forth.
So for example, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So office clerical workers, skilled craft workers, are both of those entry? I mean, some of those are,
Well, that's blank.
that's.
Skilled
blank,
craft
skilled
workers.
craft
Thank-
Technicians,
service
like technicians, are those entry level? I mean, I don't know what those classifications entail. I don't know. Is it a series of classifications? Is it one classification? I don't know, but I think.
Each is a group of different class series.
Well,
So like professionals, it is gonna be things like your doctors, your lawyers, HR people, accountants. There's different class series. So it's not just accounted as one position. It's usually like the class series that are in.
Right, and within that, you might have like personnel analysts 1, 2, and 3. So I don't know. That's why I said, having those classifications, we can determine where the,
with definitions.
where everybody lies as far as the protected classifications. Because we don't know based on just
true,
head titles.
true, but I think in our discussion before on that, the table, I think you had tables that, when we decided on this, you had tables that actually broke down.
Yeah, that was from.
It did. No, Richard did before, if I'm recalling, maybe I'm not correct, maybe I don't, but I thought he had tables that had more defined breakdowns, but the tables got so long that,
The 2024 reports
weren't-
have the breakdown of what job classes are included in the categories.
okay.
Richard, you gave us a snapshot of how.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we settled down on a certain amount of classification, so it wouldn't be too long, but it would be enough for us to tell.
And
Yeah, so I think we're getting to that. You said that it now includes that, the two.
Yeah, the 2024 now includes that, which I've been sending to the departments.
Too bad they can't do it just by like salaries, like what percentage of your department's budget is paid to
Yeah.
minority representation versus, I mean, that would be the most, because you could have, yeah, in one series, you have all these different things, but like, if the highest one is all, so that would be really cool.
Can I make a request here? Could you, look, just because we have 6 minutes left, but people concerned, could we just finish this real quick? And then could you show us the 2024 table that you put together? Because we did spend some time on that and you could see the differences, yeah. The quasi improvements, they may be not improved enough, but I think we spent a lot of time trying to make some improvements. So let's finish this up.
it's a good start, huh?
Yeah.
I think we finished 2022, did we not?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're done.
So I think we're on 2023.
And I think we do have one request, if I'm getting the consensus, that we would like this department chair to come speak to us at least. Yes. Okay, we could make one.
So when you request for department heads to come in, we have to give them kind of an idea of what to speak on. So if you can give me points for them to discuss, it's helpful so that they're not coming in blind and getting blindsided by lots of different.
Well, I mean, one, we saw market decreases in women in the department from before. That was one.
You
And
sent them the sheets, right?
Yeah.
Just this one page. These are,
They feel it out.
yeah, and just to explain some of the decreases
these are the numbers.
in the recruitment goals that the county has. Yeah, and I mean, that's what I noticed too, and the women. I mean, I know it's a tough area to recruit for construction and so forth, but they drop. Where you would think in current year, right, it would actually improve because there's more awareness. But theirs dropped. So why did that happen? So just tell them to explain the drops, or her, whoever it is.
Yeah, it could have been COVID or something.
Yeah, yeah. Why did they drop?
Is
And we,
community development, the one that we talked about at the beginning, that they had departments combining?
Yeah, that was back in 2020
Oh,
where they
okay.
had departments combined, so they should be established by then.
so we'll do that. And then,
So just for clarification, in terms of the points to request of the department head, one is explain the female numbers decreasing. Explain the decrease in recruitment goals. I'm not sure.
right, but that's kind of been a concern in the past. Is if you're not meeting those numbers, what efforts are you making out in the community to, diversify?
So forgive, and my understanding when, I mean, just to this one. But my understanding is that we're looking at the consensus data and then also kind of the workforce comparison within the county and ultimately kind of being in line somewhere with these numbers.
And parity, yeah.
To help with identifying that the workforce is actually meeting the diversity of our community or is at the diversity of our community.
Yeah, they call that parity.
So is that what I'm hearing in terms of the decrease or increase?
Well, for sure, on women on the minority. I'm sorry.
It went down a little bit on
What I'm
minorities.
saying is Between the 2018 report and the 2023 report.
That's a different report. What is this?
Departments combined.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this
So,
2022?
It's,
But that could be the gist.
so that might be part of, well, like, why it changed, because like one department may have been higher, one
Yeah.
lower. And I'm not sure what,
So wouldn't that be, behoove that?
Well, your report is,
Representative to answer that question?
mine says
I
20.
understand what you're saying.
It's got a table one.
I understand what she's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell them to tell us. And then if that is the case, they still need
Yeah.
to have a goal to,
Hmm.
you know, in the future,
Mine says 27.7.
increase their diversification in the future, because now they're off. I get it.
Which year is
We
it?
don't know.
Right here.
Maybe half.
Yeah, but I mean,
Okay, so,
Theirs is 2018.
okay,
2023.
You're on the
I don't
20
have that.
you're on the
Yeah,
22 one.
22. Yeah, I don't have 20.
okay, so those are the questions you have. So that will be a start.
I don't have any.
Let's, we got 1 minute. The people, you know, have to leave.
can I really quick, we skipped over the rules and procedures section, the 13-14 changes. That was, last meeting, we talked about moving the first meeting from January to February. So that for the election of the officers, so, but as we looked at after the meeting, looked more closely at the rules and procedures, it actually says the officer shall be elected in January. So there's a certain spot in there. So we're gonna end up, we don't necessarily need to take care of this today. But at some point, if we want to move the election to February, we're going to need to do a motion.
Okay, let's, thank you.
To change the,
So that was one of the reasons that I wanted to stop at 4:30 and then hit some of this business and come back. That was one of the attempts, but these were good discussions. So let's,
so just bring it up.
well, let's do this now because that's important, right? So, and then we can close the meeting. How's that? All right. So, we had a lot of discussion about moving the election for officers to February. It worked. We did it. We want to change, the rules to do that. Can we get a motion for that in a second? Or if not, we can table it till the next meeting.
Can we table it and I'll have me or Richard will write out what language, what exactly sections we'll need to change. So that way it can be clean.
Okay,
Because elections aren't gonna come up again for another year. We've got time.
okay. All right.
Other thing real quick is next meeting. I'm gonna do it, go back to tech center. Or stay here.
That's my favorite.
I would like our meetings to be held over, Jennifer has a building at 28th Street. I have a building at 24th and Florence. The purpose of moving around was to allow other employees to potentially show up to meetings, so I don't know about the rotation, but at 24th and Florence, we have multiple community rooms for meetings this size.
So I think one of the considerations that needs to be taken into account is the audio visual technology. And not all facilities have it. And in fact, I think before, was it Sylvia? Who Jennifer
Somebody
replaced?
suggested it.
We were going to try and have a meeting at Granite Park. And after making contact with their ASO folks, their specific rooms did not have the technology that we need in order to, one, record and video. So just in terms of technology, those are considerations that we need to take into account, which, right or wrong, which is one of the reasons we listed either here or tech center, because there is the capability.
Didn't you guys meet at 65th and floor? Yes, 65th and Florence at one.
Florida Ridge.
Or
minute,
was this one redacted?
We voted.
Rich.
We voted. We met at the voter
Okay.
registration.
So,
but I-
28th Street does have a tech.
So Richard, are you saying you've checked for 24th and Florida?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
All that I've said
that-
is that we need to ensure that whatever
Absolutely.
location is.
So I'm asking, can you check? And I can check also.
So if you can.
I'm pretty sure it's a building of 150, 200 people.
If you can give me a contact, I can certainly reach out to them.
Mina.
Dio.
Dio,
That's
D-E-O, his last name.
Okay, and this is at 24th?
So I think
28.
all we would need from you all is just an assessment of the buildings that have the technology. Because last time, I think in our last discussion, we were just gonna go between this building and the tech center because you had identified that these places had the technology. But if there's another one that we could do, that's fine. But, and then what I would suggest that we do is once the facilities that are adequate, that we just rotate between those.
Just a point with regards to the other thing that Patrick brought up was the goal, yes, was to have more employees attend meetings. I believe in excuse, either the rules and procedures or the county code, there is something along the lines that speaks to that only certain employees can come, being department heads and the employee organization representatives. And beyond that, if other employees want to come, they could certainly come, but they're gonna have to seek approval from their supervisors to use vacation to attend meetings. So that was kind of part of the other thing that I think may have been discussed at one of the other meetings.
It was disappointing. But
I think it's brought up, but at the same rate, I think the opportunity should be there. So somebody might want to use their 2-hour vacation. They might want to come in at public speaking and make a comment and ask some questions. I mean, I recall Richard, you probably was on the clock, but then you said, I'm speaking on behalf of the public when you made a statement, which I think everybody should have an opportunity, just like you did. So.
okay.
I mean, if we had it, this long story short, if we have it at 65th, that's fine. Tech center is fine. Here's okay, just traffic. But honestly, 28th Street, we do have the technology, but I wouldn't suggest going there because of parking.
I would say it's all working. That's the other considerations. And maybe traffic. where you also-
Some of the other members, like this location, so last time I recall was between the two, it was about 50-50, and so we could add a third one.
I'll reach out to
Okay.
Mina. Regarding.
All right.
24.
I didn't know we had decided on just the 2 locations. I remember you saying we were rotating.
Right, they had pointed out the other ones didn't have technology, and at the last meeting, there was a bit, it wasn't a vote, there was a bit of a consensus that folks had to go back and forth between the 2 locations, no one had any complaints with that, was good. So, okay, well, did we finish this? Did we finish it?
The workforce statistics report, I don't think we even started. We didn't start. So, you know, sorry.
Well,
I mean,
Okay.
yes.
And sit
All right.
like some.
So, we're out of time. You know, me, I'll stay, but do people want to continue to finish the 2023, or do you want to adjourn? Because we need a motion to adjourn. Okay, so I have a first,
Second.
from Melissa. Jennifer, we'll give Jennifer just. Okay. And we'll try it again, next time. Hey, but this was good. So we will need to do a pause. We'll try to make some adjustments with public comment, but we'll probably need to at least pause at 4:30 just to check in on certain things. If we want to come back to the stats, we can. But the next meeting is going to be the 4th
25th.
Monday of the month. Hey, very good discussion. New people with good stuff.
So for now, the next meeting will be at the tech center then. We're down because we don't have.
Or is there, are you looking for? Are you here living now?
Yeah, I'm in the